This is TLV1.
TLV1 Radio.
Great mixture.
I like Tel Aviv.
This is still V1.
This is
Tel Aviv is a beautiful city.
Great city, great radio.
TLV1.
This is TLV1.
From the TLV1 studios in Tel Aviv, Israel, it's Louis Live. That's just me, Ari Louis. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. It's Tuesday night, the last show of Louis Live of 2013, and we're going to end this one up with a bang. This will probably be one of the highest rated shows of all time. Everyone's really excited to listen to the juicy IFL scandal about the team Tel Aviv Sabres walking off the field Saturday night against the Judean Rebels. We'll have a Commissioner Betzalel Friedman at 7:25 to talk about that. There is also a little anti-Semitism going on in Europe. Yes, perish the thought, but it did occur. It's the Quino, and it's not a dance or a taco chip. It's a new Nazi symbol that's backwards. So Mark Gordon will talk about that at 7:50. We'll talk Israeli wrestling, Maccabi Haifa basketball, much more. But before we get all that, we're going to have on right now the Jerusalem Post chief sports editor, Allon, Sinai. Allon, welcome to Louis Live on TLV1.
Good evening, Ari. How are you doing?
Doing great. It's great to have you on. And we're going to do a little bit of year of review, some of the highlights of Israeli athletes, Israeli sports, and also the allocation of the Israeli Committee of Funds to these athletes. First, let's talk about Yarden Gerby, because she's really done it all. She is the new Yael Rad of this generation, number one in the world at her weight class in judo, and recently was voted the Israeli Sports Person of the Year, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. She really has had a tremendous year. Just to think that last year she wasn't even the top Israeli judoka in her weight class, and now she ended at number one in the world, first Israeli ever to win a world champion, looking like a really great medal hope for Israel for the 2016 Rio Olympics, and this is obviously something very positive for Israeli sports and a great story.
A lot of people are going to counter her. There's going to be a lot of pressure because Israel all time has only won 7 medals, period, in Olympics. And a couple of them have come from judo. Judo's been one of our stronger sports. And Yarden, I believe, will be 27 approximately in those Olympic Games. Is that a little too old for a judoka?
Not really, no. I think really she should really be peaking. That should be her time. And
okay.
She has the experience, actually, the World Championships last summer were in Rio also, where she won. And that will basically be exactly the same venue for the Olympics as well. So she does have that familiar arena to go to again, and with fond memories to go back to. And she obviously, there's still quite a while to go until then. World Championships coming up in 2014 again, and European Championships and plenty more competitions. But she's looking great at the moment. She seems to have the right attitude as well. She's not looking too far ahead. She's just hoping, really focusing on 2014 to start with.
One of the things I really like about her, in addition to her great English, which is really important on the world stage, if she's going to be representing Israel on the world stage, she seems to have really good emotion of the importance of the situation. We saw her, she won in the World Championships and cried right afterwards. I was really touched by that because judo is such a physical sport, and for her to show emotion like that, I think she really understood what it's all about. So talk about her as representing Israel on the world stage.
Yeah, she doesn't understand really her position as a really major athlete for Israel. She understands that she's representing not only herself, not only judo, but also Israel everywhere, and that's something which she takes to heart, and she takes very seriously as something which she didn't take lightly at all. And again, she's obviously still getting used to it, because up until this year, this isn't something really she had to deal with. But it seems like she's getting the right guidance, and she's learning with experience, and just naturally has this level-headed, and she knows how to approach all these different situations.
We're speaking right now with Allon Sinai, who's the Jerusalem Post chief sports editor. I want to talk about now the allocation of funds, because for those who are listening and don't know, the Israeli Olympic Committee gives out funds to athletes based on their performance. Obviously, the idea is if they do well in the Olympics, it makes Israel look good, it's better for everyone. Let's talk about first about how they decide how much money is given out to each particular athlete.
Yeah, well, there's actually supposed to be a change coming up. Up until now, we're really... obviously, there's a limited amount of money, most of it coming either from government funding or from the different toto funding, different gambling games, and without limited amount, there's always a discussion if you should you split it? Should you really give a top as much as possible and really just not spread it out too much, or really should you give as many athletes as possible something, even if it's not that much, and then make sure that at least everyone is getting something. And the plan for the coming years is that the major athletes will be getting a larger stipend for each month rather than just bonuses for their achievements which they record during the year. Up until now, really they got only a few thousand shekels a month, even the top athletes.
Wow.
Something like really $1,000 a month, not much more than that. And then they got bonuses. Derby, for example, for a gold medal in the Judo World Championship, got a 100,000 shekel bonus. So obviously, if you did well, so overall at the end of the year you're okay. But for a regular athlete who, again, obviously the pressure of a competition is big enough anyway, and
right.
When he knows that he needs this medal also to have something to eat next month, that is something which really doesn't really help. So we've decided that starting from the coming year, the plan is to give him a larger monthly salary, at least for the top athletes, still give the bonuses, but the way we're spreading it out in a way that at least these top athletes know that they're taken care of, even if somehow they fail in the following tournament. They've got enough to eat the following month, and they can still focus on their sport without worrying about stuff like
Along with
rent and everything else.
Along with this reminds me of back in the 20s and 30s, Major League Baseball players were not paid that much for the year, but the World Series bonus was huge, and they really wanted that World Series bonus, and that really affected their family's income and what they ate and all these different types of things. That's what it seems like if you're paying an athlete $1,000 or a few thousand shekels a month, but they get a $100,000 shekel bonus to win the gold. That is a ton of pressure, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously it's very nice in theory, and you'd think, okay, if we're giving the athlete added motivation, and now he's going to do better in the competition. But it doesn't always work that way, and the athletes do need some kind of financial security, especially ones where you know that they really need to spend their entire time training to be a top world-class athlete. And at least this way, now with some of them, most of them, of the top-level Olympians will have this financial security, and still knowing that they still have this added motivation that to also earn extra money in these competitions.
Now, there's been a lot of great athletes throughout 2013, and I don't want to spend all the time on Yarden. Let's talk about Alexander Shatulov, because he does artistic gymnastics, and in Moscow this year won the gold for the floor competition. So talk about him and what he's on the verge of horizon of 2014. What can we look forward from Alexander in the future?
He really was a revelation in Israeli sports in recent years. Really, Israel was very poor in gymnastics for many years. Didn't really have anything on the horizon. Really, he came out of nowhere, and really now he carries the sport on his shoulders. Won the European Championships, and the floor is his speciality. Finished in 6th place in the Olympics last year in London. Also reached the Olympic final on the floor in 2008 in Beijing. Still quite young. He'll still be at his peak for Rio. Olympic medal is really a distinct possibility for him, at least in the floor. He also takes part in the all-around competition, which is, for many people, one of the highlights of the Olympics. So I'm talking about a serious major Olympic sport where Israel has a real contender. And 2014, again, this is like, for most of these Olympic athletes, this is the first year really building up towards the Olympics. So 2013, for a lot of them, was a rest year, really. A lot of them took a break at the start of the year, and now 2014 we're really hitting their stride again, trying to reach that peak level again before 2015 and 2016. And Shatilov is really just the same as them, and he'll be hoping, again, European Championships are coming up, and he'll be hoping to defend his title and also improve it all around.
We'll speak with Allon Sinai, the Jerusalem Post. Let's talk about Lee Kortitz, because windsurfing is the one sport where we got a gold medal in the past. So this is a lot of pressure on Lee. 2013 got the gold in a windsurfing world championship. So talk about Lee for 2014 and what we can expect from her in the future.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story of her. She's actually a three-time defending world champion, which is something unprecedented in Israeli sports. She came so close to a medal at the London Olympics, missed it on the last day, dropping from second place. It was really heartbreaking to see her then. But she's still going strong, looking forward to this year's World Championships. She's still hoping to compete again in Rio in 2016. She's had some health issues, which really obviously haven't helped her cause at all, but she's fighting it, and she really actually has also some major competition for the Olympic berth, because Israel, any country, can only send one athlete to each windsurfing competition. So she's got Mayan Davidovich, who was also won a medal of a World Championship. Israel had two medalists of a recent windsurfing World Championships in the women's events. So these two girls are going to be fighting it out really until the end, until 2016. Korzitz obviously is the initial favorite, but it should make some interesting competition.
All right, well, there's so many more athletes I want to talk about. We're about out of time. I'm going to leave you with this question. As you talked about, they're going to make the change to go to a higher monthly stipend. What will that monthly stipend, in your estimation, be? What are they talking about?
Again, it depends on the athlete. They're going to split up the athletes into, should be about three groups of like the highest level, and then obviously a medium level and a lower level. So again, we're talking about the lower level athletes will still be around $1,000 a month, but then the higher ones will be probably about double that, even maybe a bit more. So that will at least give them a bit of financial security going forward.
All right. Allon Sinai, the Jerusalem Post chief sports editor. Thank you for being on Louis Live on TLV1. We will speak with you soon, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ari.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, from Maccabi Haifa, Ike Ofoegbu. This is Louis Live on TLV1. back here on Louis Live on TLV1. That music, courtesy of Tomer Gershman, who makes all the music for my shows. Thank you to Tomer Gershman for doing that. And of course, Matan Sharon is producing with me tonight. He hasn't produced for me for a while, so it's good to have him back. A lot of fun with me and with Matan. A quick programming announcement next week, the first show 2014 of Louis Live. We'll have on Josh Halleckman, the sports rabbi, who preaches from the pulpit of sports. He'll be on next week, so stay tuned to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Let's talk about Maccabi Haifa basketball right now with one of their key players, key ingredients to their success, Mr. Ike Ofoegbu. Ike, welcome to Louis Live on TLV1.
How you doing?
Doing
Glad
great.
to be here.
It's great to have you on, and so many things to talk about. We know you're very busy, and we appreciate the time. You just came for practice. Let's get right into it because you're one of the new additions to the team. Last year, the team wins the title, but a lot of changes happened. Gal McCall goes to the NBA. Corey Carr, one of the captains, goes to Ness Ciona. Brad Greenberg, who was coach, is now with Jerusalem. How has your team been able to do so well with all the different changes coming in?
The chemistry of the team. I mean, having the best player from last year coming back always is a plus, always helps as far as Dante Smith. But the chemistry, the guys that they brought together are good guys, and we mesh well together.
So chemistry, obviously, one of the key ingredients to success. And before we talk more about this particular team, I want to talk about your background. You have a very interesting background. You played in Venezuela, Mexico, Argentina, Puerto Rico. How is playing in Israel different than playing in those countries? Because Israel is in the Middle East. I know English is spoken a lot, but this is a different world than Venezuela and Mexico and Argentina. So talk about that, playing in Israel.
Playing in Israel, it's more private. As far as, in Venezuela, Mexico, we stayed in hotels, always traveling in hotels. Here, you have your own car. Everybody has families and stuff like that. And just the environment is different as far as, like, it's more organized. The league out here is more organized than it is in Venezuela and Mexico as far as, like, the gyms and the travel. So it's more professional out here.
Do you also think it's a higher level of basketball? Many people consider, for example, Maccabi Tel Aviv to be one of the best teams outside of the NBA, and there's a lot of players. You mentioned Dr. Smith. I mean, guys that are looking at the NBA. Gal McCall went to the NBA. So do you feel it's a higher level of basketball than in Venezuela, Mexico, and some other places?
It is, but I feel a lot of people downgrade Latin America. I mean, there's a lot of good players. But it is, especially Israel, like you have, 4 or 5 Americans on each team, and the Israeli guys are really good. So, I mean, competitively, it's better. It's more organized.
All right, are you okay over there? We're hearing some sirens and stuff. No one stole anything from you, right? That wouldn't be smart to steal from you. You're about 6'9". I don't think they're going to do that, right?
No, I just left practice, so I guess the ambulance is going through on the street or something.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope everybody's safe. Get it is New Year, so everyone don't drink and drive. Listen to my show and don't do that. All right. All right. Your college, SMU, is right now, unless he's been fired like all the NFL coaches, coached by Larry Brown. So are you still in touch with your school? Have you chatted with Larry Brown at all ever since he took over your former college team?
Yeah, I have. He recruited my little brother, so...
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've been there this summer. He's been to the house. So, wow. I go back to my school, talk to him. And then the coaching staff, the assistant coaches like George Lynch that played in the NBA under him, he was my assistant at SMU. And so I'm real cool with the coaching staff. So,
great.
I'm able to talk to him.
Yeah, Larry Brown was on my show. I got to tell you, Ike, he really doesn't show a lot of emotion. It's incredible. I talk about him winning the NBA championship, college championship. He's like, yeah, we won, beat the Lakers. We won 5 games.
Yeah, he's a real down-to-earth guy. He's a real down-to-earth guy, but no emotion.
Yeah, one of the best coaches ever. So whatever he's doing works. But the saying goes with Larry, he's not happy unless he's unhappy. So I guess that's a shit. Whatever works there. All right, and I'll ask you these questions. Now I know that this is on the radio, so you can say whatever you like. This is your time. But there was, because I'm very passionate about the story. There was a story written that Jeffrey Rosen, your owner, the owner of Maccabi Haifa, they want him to be more involved with the team. And I was very upset about that because Jeff was on my show a long time ago. He got the team a new stadium. He brought in Brad Greenberg last year. He was a high-profile guy. Guys won the title. And not all owners have to be so hands-on. What's your feeling about that? I mean, do you want him to show up to the games like Mark Cuban and run on the court, or are you happy with what he's done? I mean, again, this is a team that won a title last year. So talk about your feelings of your boss, Mr. Jeffrey Rosen.
I've met with Jeff a couple of times. He's a real good guy. He's real, as far as basketball, is real professional, because you know how some owners, they're too involved with the team,
right,
which could be a cancer to a team. And he's not. He just lets whoever is in charge take care of that, and he takes a backseat to that, which I really respect, because you know a lot of people don't have that. They let their pride get in the way of that. So
exactly.
he has my respect in that issue, and he's done a lot for this team. I mean, he's real. Like whenever he needs something, they'll take care of it. If it gets to him, he's gonna take care of it. I mean, I have no complaints with him.
You know, I got to tell you, Ike, because I'm a Suns fan, and we had Robert Sarver, who's the owner, and he would sit in every game in the front row with a foam #1 finger. I was like, dude, go away. Go to the owner's box. Eat some popcorn. Drink your fancy champagne. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to get attention for yourself. It takes away from the players.
Exactly.
It's very distracting for the players when that happens, right?
Exactly.
All right. And, you know, Maccabi Haifa, we'll leave you with this. I'm sorry, we're about to run out of time. We'd like to have you on. We'll have to have you on again, I guess, is the answer to that. But the arena was there last year at a very, very testy press conference. This was before you were on the team, when they were criticizing the team, and then the team wins the title. But that arena in Haifa is beautiful. I would say next to Nokia in Tel Aviv, it's the best in the league. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like we got the best arena in the league, especially when we played Jerusalem. When the fans came, I was like, this is the best arena, the best atmosphere in the league. I mean, outside of Maccabi, of course, is more known, and it's historically has been there. But I mean, Haifa is making their own history, and the arena to me is the best.
Yeah, it's amazing, because 2 years ago, Maccabi Haifa had a huge losing streak. It looked like they were going to drop from the top tier. They get the new stadium, they win the title, and now you guys are really rolling, kicking butt. You guys are 2 games behind the top team in Jerusalem, but Doobie Pick from Eurobasket, he predicted you guys to win the whole thing. He knows his stuff. So good luck to you, Ike. We appreciate the time. Stay safe out there. It is New Year's. Be well. We'll have to have you on again soon. I really enjoyed the time. Thanks, Ike.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Happy New Year's.
Thank you, man. Be well.
All right, you too.
All right, everyone. Talk a little Maccabi Haifa basketball. We'll get the inside scoop, so there you go. Get that report about Jeffrey Rosen. You can look that up. They've been criticizing him since I follow basketball here, and I just don't think it's appropriate. I think you got to let the guy do his thing. He spent a lot of money on the team, and let that be that. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, all the IFL fans, all IFL players have been drooling, wanted to know what Commissioner Betzalel Friedman has done, will done about the Tel Aviv Sabres walking off the field Saturday night. Stay tuned. Don't want to miss this. This is Louis Live on TLV1.
מתקשר אלייך את לא עונה וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד מסתכל על התקרה הלבנה מתעלם מהשעון כל שעה וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד כל הלילה מתהפך במיטה כל הלילה מתקלח ורואה חדשות מחמם איזה מרק קופסאות וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד אני לא יודע מה לעשות עם עצמי אם לקום או להישאר לידי וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד כל הלילה מתהפך במיטה כל הלילה לא ישן לדקה כל הלילה עובר על כל הפרטים את לא מטלפנת אוקיי קובי מה אתה אומר? חייבת לנסות להתקשר עוד שנייה אני מתפורר וואו וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד וואו וואו הנה עוד ערב אבוד וואו וואו הנה עוד
Back here on Louis Live on TLV1. If you want to follow the station on Twitter, you can do so at TLV1.fm. If you want to email me personally, that's Ari Louis Show at ARILOUIS. That's SHOW at hotmail.com. And real quick before we get to Betzalel, for those of you who may not know or know, Michael Schumacher is in a serious condition. He's in a coma. He had a skiing accident on Sunday, and he is a very well-known athlete. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars, very charitable man, nice man. And even though this is not an Israeli athlete or an Israeli sport, he is a human being, and we're all humans. So our prayers at TLV1 to him and his family, of course. Very legend and talented race car driver Michael Schumacher in serious condition, so our prayers are with him. We're going to switch gears and talk about more fun stuff, if you will. It might not be a fun day for Betzalel. Let's bring out Commissioner Betzalel Friedman to talk about the incident as reported in Walla with the Tel Aviv Sabres walking off the field Saturday night. Betzalel, Commish, how you doing out there?
Good. How are you, Ari?
Good. You've had better days. I'm sure you've lost a hair or two in the past few days, I guess, right?
I've been telling people that if I haven't gotten cancer from all the time I've been on the phone in the last 48 hours,
right.
Then I ain't never getting it.
Well, I feel bad for you, but if it makes you feel happy, this will probably be my highest rated show ever because everyone's tuning in right now to listen to us talk. So hope that makes you feel good at least.
I'm ecstatic, Ari.
Okay. All right. Now, before we get into all the specifics, I'm going to set up the situation of the audience and the knowledge I know because Commissioner, people would tell me things off record. No one wants to come on record. I was not going to have a player on the show this week. No one wants to talk about this, so they don't want to get in trouble. So this is my understanding. You have the Tel Aviv Sabres, the Jalen Rebels, playing Saturday night, and this is a rematch of the championship game. And in fact, these two teams played in Israel Bowl 4 and Israel Bowl 6. Israel Bowl 6, Sabres win in a blowout. They're about to win the game through kneeling down. Run out the game, but they don't. They throw a touchdown, run up the score. There's been a lot of bad blood. That's going into the game. That's the background. My understanding is in the third quarter, the Rebels had a big lead. I believe it's 25-0. Sabres score what they think is a touchdown. The referees take it back. The Sabres get so mad. The entire team, coaches, trainers, everybody leaves. Now it's your turn, Commissioner. Tell us what happened.
Okay, I'm going to stick to the strict facts without getting into any opinions. First of all, up until this incident happened, it was a great close game.
Okay.
The score when this incident happened was 22-20.
Oh, okay, 22-20.
Okay.
Sorry for that. All right.
And this game had everything. It had the big plays. It had star power. I heard someone from the stand saying, "Wow, this is first time in a while that you actually come to an IFL game and you actually see two teams playing real good football." Now,
right.
That's an exaggeration, but it was two good teams playing good football. Just a two-play sequence that kind of gives you the feel is the Rebels score and then kick it off, and then Fudge returns it for a touchdown, okay? And then on the two-point conversion, Donnie Eastman picks off the pass on the two-point conversion and takes that for a defensive two-point conversion.
Wow. It's a heavyweight title fight. The big guys throwing punches back and forth.
And it was a beautiful game to witness as a spectator until the incident happened,
okay.
Which is Rebels 2-point lead at the time of the incident. And there was, the Sabres, they got the ball. There was a pick six that was called back for a clipping foul, which was a clear foul.
Okay.
I mean, I saw it, and I was on the other side of the field. But then the Sabres had, first and goal situation and got down to fourth and goal. And then and there was a questionable call on fourth down. And I'm saying at the time it was questionable. I already have my opinion on whether it was a good call or not. But that's completely irrelevant.
Okay.
The call was called against the Sabres, no touchdown. That's when a Sabres player who was a member of the chain gang burst onto the field running towards the refs. He was thrown out, and then another player just kind of, baited the refs and basically just made them throw him off.
Okay.
And, so we have a chain gang member ejected and a player ejected.
Okay.
And then play resumes normally. Emotions running a little high.
It's an emotional game.
Yeah, and emotions running a little high, resume play. And then on the second play, I thought it was the first play, but after I went back and went over everything, I saw it was the second play from after the first incident. Another Sabres player was called for a late hit on the Rebels quarterback. Now, as you know, and any football fan knows, a late hit is a personal foul.
Right.
A personal foul does not warrant ejection. However, it was the feeling of the referees that since it was already a heated atmosphere, that late hit was later than late, and it was intentional, flagrant, as you'd call it in basketball, and therefore warranted ejection. So they ejected that player as well. After that happened, the Sabres kind of huddled on the side and were discussing and trying to figure out what their next course of action was. And a few minutes later, they decided that they are not taking the field again.
Okay, so now first of all, this never happened in IFL history, correct? Never.
As far as I know, it has never happened. We've had forfeits before the game, where a team couldn't, field a squad, but there has never been a team walking off in the middle of a game.
Now, I know a year and a half ago, the Lions were very sensitive when Itai Ashkenazi went to the Pioneers. They refused to play them, and the game was rescheduled. I never heard about a team leaving during the game. Now, I know
I just have to correct that. Okay. It wasn't a problem with Itai. That's not why the Lions didn't play the Pioneers. That was over the whole Louis Duker incident.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with Itai.
Okay. So now with this situation, it's very confusing. I'm not saying that you would have the answer, but this is a close game. They still, even if they're upset with the referees and they feel the referees are taking it from them, they still could win the game anyway. It's not like they were blown out. So that's the first thing I think of when I hear this. It's very confusing. I mean, do you have any answers for that? Why would a team leave when the game's that close?
Your guess is as good as mine.
All right.
I really
mean, that's just something I'll put out there to the Sabres. I don't understand that. Okay. Now, the course of action at that point is, I understand there was a hearing, and there's a third-party committee that then handles this and deciding what to do. Is that correct?
We have a disciplinary committee that is going to deal with the issue of the players.
Okay.
The players who were thrown out. And we felt that a team walking off was too serious for a third-party committee. So there is going to be a general assembly meeting over the next few days, meaning all the team managers, and they are going to discuss the team disciplinary issues. The disciplinary committee is going to deal with the players, and the General Assembly is going to deal with the team.
Okay, and my understanding is also this Friday's game, the Sabres against the Pioneers, has at this point been postponed. Is that the plan right now?
It has been postponed until further notice.
Okay. Now, is that your decision, or is that the committee's decision?
That was myself with the management committee. That was our decision. Given the severity of the events, we felt that we could not, it's not, guilty. It's not guilty until proven innocent, but, it's the type of thing where you say, hey, we need to stop and figure out what's going on before we can continue.
Okay. And what could be the possible ramifications of this? I mean, the forfeit, as I understand it, has that occurred? The Sabres have forfeited that game?
That has occurred. That occurred the moment they stepped off the field.
Okay. What are other future punishments? Is there potential suspensions of other games? You can't really, you can't find the team. It's not that type of thing. But so what other punishments could occur after everybody meets together, the team managers, committees, all that good stuff?
There could be any number of things you could have. I guess a worst case scenario would be teams suspended for future games. I don't know, the rest of the season.
Wow.
There could be postseason eligibility issues. There could be what is known as in Israeli soccer as radius games, where you give a team, a game where they can't have any fans or they can't play at their home field, stuff like that. But those are all options at this point. All options are on the table, and we feel that this is a monumentous decision for both the league and the Sabres, and we are not taking it lightly at all. And that's why we feel it's absolutely necessary to have all teams involved in being aware of what's happening and being part of making the decision.
Okay, so is part of the idea then to send a message, this should never, ever happen again? Are you looking in your mind to make a very big statement with in general, not that you're the only person who decides the punishment, but is that part of the idea that we're going to make an example and make sure this never happens again?
No doubt. This is a bad thing that happened. Both the sportsmanship of the players' actions coupled in with the sportsmanship of walking off a field. We're trying to set football as a sport in Israel with good American sportsmanship values. And this game did us a disservice. And this was the exact opposite of where we want the league to be. And therefore, that is definitely in our minds. The flip side is we're going to be fair, and we don't want, we don't want to hurt the Sabres in such a way that they cannot recover. We definitely want to send a message to them and the rest of the league that such a thing cannot happen. But at the same side, realize that we want to have disciplinary measures that will help. Educate is not the right word, but to help the team along in realizing that what they did was wrong, and to help them reach a point where it won't happen again. Not that let's go totally off topic, but the Rambam Maimonides says that your repentance is complete when you're in the same situation and don't do it again.
Right. Well
Meaning,
said.
if we disband the Sabres, then fine, we send a message to the whole league, but we haven't given the Sabres
Another
a chance to repent.
Right.
But we want to give the Sabres a situation where they can be in the same position again, and this time act the right way.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Commissioner, really appreciate the time. We know you're under stressful situations right now. If you can, try to get some rest, because I know you've had a very busy couple of days, the last 48 hours. Thank you so much. We look forward to better times for the IFL and happier occasions when you come on my program. So be well, be safe.
Amen,
out there.
Ari.
Amen. Be safe out there, and happy Goyish New Year to you.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
too.
Be well.
Bye.
All right, Commissioner Betzalel Friedman. I know a lot of players will have a lot of comments on that. You can find me on Facebook, Ari Louis, ARILUIS. You can write to me. This story will not go away. It was written about in Walla. So we'll probably talk more about it next week when we find out what the actual disciplinary action is. Will the Sabres be suspended for multiple games, a few, postseason, etc.? We will keep everyone up to date on the story. Don't worry about that. Quick break. On the other side, Yossi the Bus Friedman to talk about Israel wrestling. This is Louis Live on TLV1.
When you get a face, it's fascinating to observe what the mirror does, but
here on Louis Live on TLV1. You can follow the station at TLV1.fm. Email me personally at Ari Louis Show at hotmail.com, ARILOUISSHOW at hotmail.com. We're going to change gears, talk some Israel wrestling with a good friend of mine. He is the host of the Wrestling Breakdown Show. He is Yossi the Bus Friedman. Yossi the Bus, welcome to Louis Live. Good to have you back on, baby.
Thanks for having me.
There is so much wrestling news coming up. It's incredible. And we haven't had you on in months, so we got to catch up as much as we can in this short segment here. Now, there is going to be a wrestling event at the Dead Sea put on by There was in the past. Tell us how that went and about that event.
Well, there was a wrestling event at the Dead Sea, and from what I understand, it went quite well. I unfortunately was unable to attend, but it's as great as all the wrestling events that come out of the Israel Pro Wrestling Association.
How often do they have events? I mean, they try to get events all over the country, northern Israel, southern Israel. Is it rare to have an event at the Dead Sea like that?
Yeah, I think so. Most of their events tend to be based out of Netanya, where their main training facility is.
Right. Okay, and that's what we saw Takanka a couple of years ago in Netanya, and that was a great event. Now, my understanding is, and you're going to break the news here on my show, there is a huge former WWE superstar that's going to be coming in for Pesach. Can you talk about that?
Well, it's not really me breaking the news, but I guess I'll be breaking the news on TLV.
TLV1 to my audience. Yeah, that's right. So we'll take that.
The wrestler goes by many names, one of them being Little Guido.
Little Guido, okay. That's an interesting name, all right.
His actual, his born given name is James Maritato.
Okay.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Right.
And he's bounced around many wrestling organizations, but is known as a senior guy. You know, he's been around the block. He spent a nice period of time with ECW for around 10 years, and then he was in the WWE for also around 6-7 years. And since then, he's mostly spent time as a referee, as well as he was working for the WWE. But he left there in 2011, and it was announced, I think, on December 1st, that he would be competing at IPWA's traditional Passover Bash in April of this coming year.
All right, so when he comes to Israel, we're going to try to get him on the show, and I'm going to ask him why he has the name Little Guido. Do you happen to know, Yossi the Bus, why that is? Where did that come from, Little Guido?
I'm not actually sure where it comes from.
It's pretty interesting name. We'll try to find that out. All right, a couple more news events we're going to talk about with you. I understand there is a deal that's been signed with City Gym and the IPWA. That's, of course, the Israel Wrestling Association. Talk about that deal between City Gym and the IPWA.
Well, from what I understand, they've signed a deal at City Gym, and they have a training facility there, and I believe that there will be some sort of training program, or as we call in Hebrew, chug, with a former IPWA champion, Joey Tylek, who actually was trained by Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
In Texas.
Okay.
But from what I see, the contact information is Jerry Roy's email. And so I'm not sure exactly what the details are, but I guess you'd have to email him to find that out.
Okay, so we'll definitely do that. And
if you wanted to find out more information, you could go, the IPWA has a Facebook page, and if you like their page, you could probably find out all that information as well as on their website at ipwa.co.il.
And now also the idea is to have a new generation of Israeli wrestlers because, I mean, you got to have a new crop coming. Is that part of the plan to bring the future up?
From what I understand from recent updates, yes. I mean, there's only so long your body can take the toll of wrestling, and I believe the idea is to bring in a new crop in order to sustain wrestling in Israel. You know, there's only a guy who wrestles, let's say, from the age of 20-something to 30-something if he's lucky, maybe 40 if he's really lucky, and then his body gives. And if you don't bring up new guys, you're left with nothing.
All right, the last thing we'll leave you is this, and I understand that there's been an announcement about a deal to bring 3 former WWE superstars to a WrestleFest event in June. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, there's another organization in Israel that I believe they're younger, more recently brought up, called the All Wrestling Organization, and they've announced that they have plans to bring in 3 former WWE superstars to their next event. It has not been made clear who those will be or revealed who they will be, but it'll be worth it to stay tuned to see who those guys will be, because, I mean, anytime there's a chance of seeing a former WWE superstar is very exciting, as we saw with Tatanka's visit to Israel and James Maritato coming now in Passover.
And I'll tell you, Takata, I saw this man at the Kotel. I have never seen such a big human being. He wasn't the tallest guy I've ever seen, but he was wide about 3 people. So everyone stay tuned. We will keep everyone up to date on the wrestlers that will be coming in the summer, and we're going to keep everyone updated in general about wrestling. We'll have Yes the Bus on, because if you get a chance to see these great physical specimen that they work so hard at wrestling, it's such an entertaining show. There's nothing like seeing wrestling in live. It's better than television. So we're going to keep everyone updated on that. Yes the Bus, good luck to you, and check out Yes the Bus Friedman, the Wrestling Breakdown Show on Facebook. Yes the Bus, have a happy Goyish New Year. We'll speak soon.
Okay, thank you for having me on. You can follow me on Twitter at Yes the Bus.
All right, follow Yes the Bus on Twitter. Yes the Bus, be well. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, we're going to do, I don't know if we're going to call this a new dance, and maybe it's the Quino. We'll talk about that with Mark Gordon. This is Louis Live on TLV1.
הלוואה שמנה של 20% ריבית לאיזה 100 שנה, תנאים מצוינים למשכנתה נוחה, עם קרן לפנסיה ונקודות יציאה. אני לא רוצה לקבל החלטות, לקחת אחריות, להתחשב בנסיבות, לדעת מה אמרו אתמול בחדשות, אנשים קטנים עם בעיות גדולות. אני לא רוצה להתבגר, להשלים, להסתגר, לקבל את זה ולוותר. אני לא רוצה להתבגר, את הבוס על הראש, 2 מכוניות וילדות 3, ועד הבית, משמר השכונה, לריב עם השכנים ולטפל בגינה. לא צריך להחזיק מניות, לקנות חיים זה לא אומר לחיות, ללמוד להתפשר ולעגל פינות, המון מציאות אבל אין חלומות. לא רוצה להתבגר, להשלים, להסתגר, לקבל את זה ולוותר. אני לא רוצה להתבגר, להשלים, להסתגר, לקבל את זה ולוותר. אני לא רוצה להתבגר. שהכל כבר צפוי וגלוי וידוע, ואין יותר סודות, הכל בתוך הריבוע. להיות מכובד, מיושב ורגוע, לשלם את המיסים, לשלם את הביטוח. אני לא רוצה לאבד את זה ולהפוך להיות אחד כזה, אבל לא קונים אותי כל כך מהר, לא קונים אותי כל כך מהר. לא רוצה להתבגר, להשלים, להסתגר, לקבל את זה ולוותר. אני לא רוצה להתבגר, לא רוצה להתבגר, להשלים, להסתגר, לקבל את זה ולוותר. אני לא רוצה להתבגר.
Back here on Louis Live on TLV1, we've had a great show so far. We're going to keep the greatness going by talking about a little Nazism with our good friend Mark Gordon. Mark, how you doing out there?
Yeah, thank you for that intro.
Yeah, I had to do that too. Okay, let's talk about the Quino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Actually, I don't care if I am pronouncing it right because it's such a disgusting thing. But basically, it's a backwards Nazi sign, correct?
Something along those lines. Quenelle actually means a dumpling or a scoop.
Okay.
It's a term that's been used in cooking for a while, but it's been coined by a French comedian called Dieudonné Mbala.
Okay. So is this kind of like that episode of Friends when Ross and Rachel didn't want to flip off their parents, so Ross came up with this thing with his arms that meant that? So is that what they're doing? Like they're not allowed to do the swastika?
It's along those lines. The aforementioned Mr. Mbala, with outputting too fine a shine on it, is basically an anti-Semitic piece of crap.
Okay.
There's no other way to put it. He was born in Paris. His father is actually from Cameroon, and his mother is French. So he's half black and half white.
Okay.
And over the years, he's gone from being a left-wing political activist to joining up with the Front National in France, and basically doing what he calls a stand-up activist comedy. But basically, it's anti-Semitism. Occasionally, he tries to hide it and say, it's anti-Israel activity, but
that would be okay. But
it's a very well-known political argument. We're not being anti-Semitic; we're being anti-Israel. But Dieudonné has been convicted, I think, now 7 times of anti-Semitism, and not forgetting another conviction for tax evasion for not paying about €1 million worth of tax.
That's because he didn't get a good Jewish accountant, Mark. That's why.
It's the Jews that took his money, and they control the courts.
Right. Okay. There you go.
The most recent example was when a Jewish journalist criticized him. He basically said to the journalist, and I've got to stop saying basically, he said to the journalist, it's a shame that the gas chambers were got rid of, which is very strange for a man that says the Holocaust didn't happen. So these gas chambers that didn't happen. Another example, in 2008, he said that the Holocaust was memorial pornography.
Oh, God. All right, so this Quino thing, I mean, are people trying to be funny with this? Is it like, oh, look at my cute little thing? I mean, why is it, it's not secret. People know what it is. So we'll talk about, everyone listening, of course, this is a sports show. We'll talk about how it relates to athletes. But in general, the Quino, are people doing it as a joke or that they're trying to get away with it? Why are they doing this?
The reason he invented the Quino was to try and avoid prosecution. He was able to say, look, this isn't a proper Nazi salute. Therefore, I'm not being a Nazi. His other really inventive trick, and you have to laugh at French humor, he didn't want to use the word Shoah, which obviously means Holocaust.
Right.
So he invented his own word, Shoah nanas. And ananas, as well as in Ivrit, is also French for pineapple. So he performs a sketch when he's talking about the Shoah nanas with a pineapple next to him.
Oh,
so,
God.
It's very, very clever, subtle humor.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, no, not. Yeah, French humor, I guess it's like French fresh strength or fresh non-cowardism.
So where it's developed is that people have tried to pick up on this humor and have started, Instagramming, Facebooking, Twittering from around the world using pineapples and this Quino salute to say, this is funny. And they're going to places like Anne Frank's house, Auschwitz, the Kotel. There was a school in Toulouse where 2 children and a teacher were shot a year ago, and they're doing the Quino outside these buildings because that's very amusing.
Oh, my God.
So, it's a really low level of sick, disgusting anti-Semitism. And, to say it's humor, you're obviously, just trying to cover up and avoid prosecution. The problem is that Dieudonné has a celebrity fan club, mainly sportsmen.
Right.
But there are people around the world that think it's very funny to do the Quino. And my friend is called Dieudonné, and this is a tribute to Dieudonné. So it started making an appearance in the sporting world.
And let's talk about that. West Bromwich Albion striker Nicholas Anelka did it in a 3-3 tie in West Ham. Is there going to be punishment for Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah, Nicholas Anelka is supposedly the first footballer that's done it at a sporting event. There is a case in the French League about 12 months ago, another footballer doing it, but no one's actually watching the French League, so that's less of an issue.
Right.
But he scored a goal. He hadn't played for about 3-4 months because a relative of his had passed away, and he's 34. He's had an 18-year career, and he's thinking of retiring. So suddenly West Brom had a change of manager. They sacked the manager. A new manager came in and thought, let's get Anelka on. Anelka scored his first goal in the Premier League for 2 years. He'd had a stay in, I think, China and Italy in between leaving Chelsea 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago and joining West Brom. So he actually scored 2 goals, but at the first goal, he decided to do the Quino salute. He has been pictured in the past with Giordone. So he said Giordone is a friend of his. They've been seen together, and there are photos of him doing the Quino next to Giordone. So it's not the first time.
Okay, and so is part of the reason he's doing this at the game is because this might be his last year, and he doesn't really care what happens to him?
I think partly and partly... It's difficult to say his motivation. I mean, one thing about Anelka is Anelka converted to Islam in 2004, and a lot of people doing the Quino, strangely, are French Muslims. Not all of them, but it has a strange link. Giordone, I don't think, is a Muslim, but, because he says it's anti-Zionist and he's supporting the Palestinians, he gets some support from French Muslims. There are a lot of pictures of groups of French Muslims doing the Quino, which is ironic because, the Nazis would not have had any time for
French Muslims.
Yeah. Or, if we remember the 1936 Olympics, he didn't have any time for Jesse Owens because a black sprinter won the 100 meters.
Right.
So, because Giordone has tried to be clever and say it's anti-Israel, then he's got a whole load of support from all sorts of different people. Anelka converted to Islam, I think, when he got married in 2004, so possibly this is where he identifies, although there was an incident a year ago where another footballer, Freddie Canute, put together a petition to try and get Euro 2013 removed from Israel. And he had a lot of support from mainly French, but certainly French and African footballers, although half a dozen said they'd never been contacted. And Anelka had nothing to do with that. And for someone, who's very close to Giordone, you thought there may have been a link. But Anelka has no real form with anti-Semitism or anti-Israel feeling.
All right, last question, 25 seconds to talk, and we got to wrap the show. Tony Parker, there's a picture of him doing that. Do you happen to know if the NBA is going to do any type of reparations, suspensions about that?
Tony Parker apologized today. I think the difference between Anelka and Tony Parker, and there were a couple of other players, Samir Nasri for Man City and Mamadou Sakho, who plays for Liverpool, a judo player called Teddy Riner, who's the Olympic champion. They all did it in their own time. And a lot of them did it with Giordone. Some of them claimed that they were duped. They didn't know what it means. Anelka clearly is a friend of this guy. He clearly knew what he was doing, and I think he'll be looking at a 5-game ban. Parker, I doubt, will be banned.
All right, Mark, we got to run. Thanks for being on Louis Live on TLV1. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
All right, folks, that's the end of our program. Thank you for tuning in, and, of course, thank you to our guest. We start off with Allon Sinai, Jerusalem Post sports editor. We then went to Maccabi Haifa, Ike Ogovu, to talk about Jeffrey Rosen and his addition and everything he's done for the team, including the new stadium. Commissioner Betzalel Friedman to talk about the Tel Aviv Sabres walking off the field Saturday night against the Judean Rebels. Yossi the Bus Freeman to talk about little Quino coming in this Pesach to Israel to do some wrestling adventures. And, of course, Mark Gordon talk about the Quino. No, it's not a dance. Look it up. It is really disgusting. We have to know what's going on. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll have on the sports rabbi Josh Halibut for the first show 2014. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.